Hello, hope I'm doing well, and welcome back to Worship Wednesday. Today's subject is Shimakaze. Ordered in 1939 under the 4th Naval Armament Supplement Program, Shimakaze, whose name means Island Wind, was intended to be the lead ship of the next generation of Japanese destroyers, but ultimately she became a one off with no sisters. She was laid down at Missouri Naval Yard in August 1941, but was only completed on May 10th, 1943, with 16 more Shimakaze class destroyers being budgeted under the 5th Naval Armaments Supplements Program. The long term plan to build a total of 32. However, due to the complexity of her design, as well as lack of industrial capacity and the resources needed, prevented her sisters from being built. And you can see this complexity reflected in how long it took to actually build her, with her only being a destroyer. Rather large, but just a destroyer, not a battleship. Her design is an improved and lengthened version of the Yugumo class, being close to 35 feet longer overall, and she used that extra length to add an additional quintuple torpedo launcher amidship. This brought Shimakaze's torpedo broadside up to 15 torpedoes, with the drawback being she was coming very top heavy with all this armament up there, so she wasn't allowed to carry reloads for fear that she would roll over and sink. She had the same main battery as the Yugumos, with three twin 127 millimeter 50s, with one being on the front of the ship and a super firing pair aft, as well as an AA complement, ASW complement, and she had radar. One of her more notable features was her speed, in addition to, her incredible amount of torpedoes, with her being able to get up to 48.9 knots during trials, thanks to her experimental boilers, which is very impressive. Just remember, when trials are being done, the ships are loaded to be optimized for speed, so it's not their combat load. So oftentimes ships will have perform really well in trials. That's because they aren't loaded all the way and they're using the best fuel possible. Now, this is still impressive, but she wasn't the fastest destroyer of World War II. That honor goes to Lake Terrible, getting up to 45 knots during trials, and that whole the Fantastic class being incredibly fast, and they were built several years earlier. After her completion, Shimakaze joined the First Fleet and helped with the evacuation of Kiska Island from July to August 1943, serving as a flagship of the screening floors. This is in the Aleutians. So if you look at Alaska, that little chain of islands that comes down, it stretches all the way, almost completely across the Pacific along there. By September through to October, she was escorting vessels between Yokosuka, Japan, and the Truk Atoll, then escorting the fleet from Truk to Inuituk. Sorry about that one. Due to the increased American air presence and attacks, and then continued her escort duty between Japan, the Philippines, and various Japanese holdings in the Pacific until March 1944. She then received refits and repairs between mid March and mid April. After these were completed, she then escorted Yamato and Maya from Kure Naval Yard to Manila in the Philippines, then went to cover the aborted Japanese evacuation of Biak before returning back to Kure for more repairs and upgrades to her anti air. In July, she escorted troops to Okinawa and then headed south towards the bulk of the action. Shimakaze was present for the Battle of Leyte Gulf, but didn't participate in any of the fighting, and for the first part, she simply rescued survivors of Musashi and Maya after the two were sunk in Cebu Sea. She was also present for the Battle of Samar, but because she was overloaded with survivors from Maya and Musashi, she did not fight and simply stood on the sidelines as Taffy 3 fended off Yamato and her escorts with three destroyers led by the USS Johnson, four destroyer escorts, and six light carriers. Shimakaze ended up suffering light damage from aircraft and she collided with the destroyer Akashimo of the Yugumo class. In early November, she was escorting a convoy from Manila to Ormuk when she was attacked by American aircraft from Task Force 38 on November 11th, 1944, being disabled by strafing fire and near misses, which disabled her and started burning her. She drifted while on fire and eventually exploded, sinking to the bottom, and she was removed from the Naval Register in January 10th, 1945. Now, that's not where her story ends. Her wreck was discovered by Paul Allen's expedition using RV Petrol on December 1st, 2017. She was resting 715 feet below the surface. So onto her skills. Unfortunately, I don't have too much for her skills other than her first skill, Upon the Wind's Edge. She's got a sword. Her name means Island Wind. That's about it. So for quotes, however, she's got quite a bit. So her self intro talks about being the silver class, being the fastest, and carrying the largest torpedo armament. In terms of torpedo armament and being the fastest for the IGN, definitely. Her secretary Idle Line 2 talks about her shoes being her faster than everyone else, like referencing her experimental boilers that allowed her to achieve her impressive speed. Her low HP, saying "Don't die on me, engines." Her engines were disabled, and it caused her just to drift around before she exploded and sank. If you sorted her with Le Triumphant or Le Malin, and maybe some of the other from the late Fantastic class, she asks, "Wow, can you guys really go faster than me?" And because the Fantastic class was faster than her. She's a sortie line with Saruga. They both came from the Azur Lane Crosswave game. She's a sortie line with Takao, asking if Takao thinks better Shimakaze now. Takao was damaged and forced to retire to Japan during the same battle at Sunk Maya, which Shimakaze was also present for. And her post Oath Idle Line 7 talks about being really good at torpedo strikes from a long range. She has the highly effective, highly deadly, highly lethal long lance torpedoes. And as a last little note, I definitely recommend checking out Paul Allen's other works. He led the discoveries of many other World War II ships, or provided direction to finding them in his last year. May rest in peace. He passed away in 2018. I believe his group, RV Petrol, or a group he was associated with, took some really good photos and live stream diving of their remote operated vehicle on the Midway wrecks. So, Yorktown, Akagi, Kaga, and Hiryu. I don't know if they went to Soryu, but definitely check that out. Very cool. I think you'll enjoy it. Watching this video anyway. But thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.